In this video, I'm going to let Autopilot drive through some roadworks with restricted lanes on a dual carriageway. And yet again, the current version gets confused at slip roads, not once, but twice in only a few minutes. So I'm driving on the A34 just south of Oxford, going southbound, and just down here there's some roadworks at Abingdon because they're putting some new slip roads in on and off the A34. And there's a little contraflow section and the lanes are being narrowed, so they've got those temporary cat's eyes on the road. So in this video I thought I'll just show you how Autopilot handles that, because a lot of cars don't do that sort of stuff very well, whereas the Tesla vision system seems to make a very good job of it. So let's put it on Autopilot. So when you've got two blue lines like that, it's just doing your standard adaptive cruise control like most modern cars do now. So let's increase the speed. So I'm going to say try to drive at 70. Obviously it won't, because that's what that's not what that car in front is doing. So what I'm going to do is change it to Enhanced Autopilot using Navigate on Autopilot. So let's put in a destination. So this is now going to go to a single blue line. So this is now going to do automatic lane changes. Oh Jesus. Right, there's a good example of where it doesn't work very well with this current software version. It tried to drive us off that slip road there, and I steered and it took Autopilot off. Anyway, it's back on again. We're now going to hit the 50 mile an hour contraflow. So I'm going to reduce the speed down to 50. And in a minute the lanes are going to move over with those temporary cat's eyes. So it's now saying request lane change away from the cones. It doesn't like driving next to the cones. Obviously it will do, but it prefers to move across if it can, but I've ignored that. So here we can see we've got lots of cones, and this is where the lane is going to change to shift over. And it's doing that perfectly fine. Again, it's saying change the lane because it wants to get away from the cones. So to do that, I just touch the indicator and it's changed the lane. So now it's in a very narrow temporary lane here, but again, it can see that and it's doing it just fine. Whereas some other cars, they still try to follow the original white lines, which are been sprayed over, so they're black. But some other cars, they still see those and try to follow those. But the Tesla is getting it absolutely spot on. So it works very well. So I could force a lane change back to the left hand side, which let's do that. Let's see whether it will do that. So I put the indicator on all the way down, touch the steering wheel briefly because it needed to know I was still in control, and there, it's done it. That's done it just fine. But straight away it's asking me to go back to the outside lane because it doesn't like driving away from the cones. Well, I say it doesn't like it, it's quite happy to do it, but just for safety it's saying I'd rather drive in the outside lane rather than drive near the cones. But as you can see, it can handle both lanes just fine. I've got to touch the steering wheel occasionally, as you just saw there, because it needs to know that I'm in control, and I am looking at the screen rather a lot here rather than looking ahead, and it's tracking that from the internal camera, so that's why it's probably prompting me a bit more. But yeah, it works fine. So here we're coming to the end of the contraflow where the lanes are going to shift back over, so let's see how it copes with that. And there we go, it's just shifted and it's done it just fine. So we're now going into the national speed limit, so I'm going to increase my speed by using the right hand scroll wheel on the steering wheel. So it's now set to 70, so it's going to pick up the speed. It is picking up the speed very slowly, but anyway, it's now going to try to drive at 70 if the conditions allow. It's asking me to go in the right hand lane, but I'm not going to do that because there's cars coming up beside me. It's just done it again. It's put the indicator on, trying to go down that slip road. So that's done it twice in a couple of miles. So that is effectively a bug. This latest version of the over-the-air updates, you know, you get these software updates on Teslas, it has made autopilot worse because it wouldn't have done that a couple of weeks ago. So it's good I caught that on the camera. So I'm just going to slow autopilot down. In fact, I'm just going to brake manually myself, which has turned it off because that car wants to come across, and if I left autopilot on there, it would have closed up that gap too much. It would have still allowed him out, but it was getting a bit too tight before autopilot reacted. So I'll just press the gear stalk down again to put it back on. Let's increase my speed to 70 again. There, let's get it all the way up to 70. So it's going to try to drive at 70, but the road speed at the moment is 30, but it is asking me to go into the outside lane. No, I'm going to cancel that. That's one thing I don't like about Enhanced Autopilot, is it wants to go in the outside lane. I'd put my indicator on to say, yes, I'll confirm that, let's change lane, but it sits and pauses too long before it does that lane change. And the gap I had there in the outside lane was getting smaller and smaller all the time. So by the time it did want to change, there wasn't really the gap there, so it was just too slow. But anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I really just wanted to show autopilot working in a contraflow when there isn't white lines on the road. And that side of things, it does very well. The only thing it didn't do very well is it twice there, it tried to take me off on a slip road temporarily, and then it sorted itself out. But that isn't so good, but that will get fixed in a future over-the-air update because it wasn't doing that 2 or 3 weeks ago on the previous version of the software. Okay, I'll leave it there. If you found it useful, please do click the thumbs up. That really does help. Do subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know more about the Tesla Model Y, in the video description below will be a link to a playlist where you can see other videos I've made. Oh, and the final thing I'll just mention, this car is a hardware 3 car. This is a 2024 Model Y rear-wheel drive. And okay, radio. See you on the next video.